and had immediately contacted her aunt. Sara had welcomed her niece so enthusiastically that Kate got a job in Lachlan, drove south, and moved into Sara's big house, where Jack Wyatt, the grandson of Sara's childhood sweetheart, was also living. From what Darrell could see, the Medlar Three got along splendidly. Jack had a construction company that was rebuilding the poorest part of Lachlan, and Kate was doing well in her real estate job. Sara had retired from full-time writing and devoted herself to photography and whatever else she could use her active mind for. Yes, they did tend to stick their noses into any criminal activity in Lachlan, and from what he'd heard in other places too, but when they weren't snooping, they caused no problems. But how would Kate react when she found out that everything she believed about her life was a lie? Not only was her father alive, but her beloved aunt had testified against him. It was Sara who sent Randall to prison. "You did this to your own brother. You'll never see Kate again. I swear it," Ava had screamed on the day of the verdict. 2 security guards had dragged her out of the courtroom. Darrell knew how Kate would react. She'd be furious. Kids always were. They were unforgiving of the errors of their elders, as judgmental as the Inquisition. Would Kate be so angry that she would leave town, turn her back on everyone and disappear? That would break the hearts of a lot of people. Jack and Sara would probably never recover. Darrell dropped the paper and put his head in his hands. None of that compared to his second problem, one that was a lot more serious than injured feelings. Long ago, there had been a job, a big one, involving millions. Darrell was only 28 then. He was married and broke and desperately wanted to give Evie all that she deserved. And there was Randall, 41, and silver-tongued. He'd always been able to smile and sweet-talk and make you believe that everything would be fine. Until the very last, he always got away with whatever he did. For that job, Randall had been the mastermind, the genius of it all. Darrell, Walter, and Jack's father, Roy, had followed Randall without questioning him. True, they had benefited, but there had been problems later. Darrell looked at the paper. So now Randall was being released early. For good behavior, no less. And Darrell was sure he'd come straight to Lachlan. He'd want to see his daughter, who didn't know he was alive. And he might want to confront his sister for helping put him in prison. How would Darrell, now the sheriff, deal with that? Of course Randall would want to look up his old friends. Roy and Walter were dead. That left Darrell. All Randall had to do was remind the sheriff of what they'd done together, and then what? Blackmail? Would Randall threaten to tell the Broward Sheriff's Department if Darrell didn't do whatever illegal thing he came up with? Darrell would lose his pension and his good name. What would Randall want this time? Grand theft? Expensive cars to disappear? How about a Ponzi scheme? No doubt Randall had learned a lot about crime while he was in prison, and he'd want to try everything. The word dishonest wasn't one Randall understood. So how would Darrell be able to withstand him? Randall could talk anyone into anything. He could... Darrell looked around his office. Unless I'm not here, he thought. If Randall can't find me, he can't blackmail me into doing anything. And I'd have time to think about what I need to do. Early retirement? Evie would love that. He looked at his 3 deputies. Who could take over if he wasn't here? That he had no one who could replace him was the reason he gave Evie as to why he could never take a vacation. Pete and Dave were cousins. They were good-looking young men who smiled a lot. They were so nice that people thanked them for handing out tickets. When